Hello friends, how are you? I think you must be fit and fine. And this is Parvesh Chaudhary. I welcome to all of you on this learning platform. And today we are going to discuss about the company rule in India, right? Actually, first of all, I would like to request to all of you that please, if you didn't subscribe my channel yet, then please subscribe my channel first and give your precious comments, like and share, right? And I would like to inform you that this topic is a very wide topic, very comprehensive. So we have decided that producing this topic uh, in four parts, right? So today we are going to release the first one, the first part of this whole entire topic, and the main subject, the main topic name is the crown and the company rule in India, right? And today the first part. So let's start the topic. Actually, friends, you can see on the on your computer screen, there is a heading was written here that the company rule in India introduction, right? So let's move on this paragraph here. First of all, I'm gonna dictate this, then I will explain to you, right? Though you can see over here, the British East India Company established itself in the form of a trading company first of all in 1600. After that, it transformed itself into a ruling body in 1765, right? It means, first of all, what happens on the ground level in India in 1600, the British company introduced in India first time, right? And at the time, at that point of time, they introduced themselves as a trading company, right? In 1600. But you know what happened later? They transformed itself into a ruling body in 1765, right? When they got victory in the Battle of Buxar. Here is mentioned in Battle of Buxar. You can watch, you can see over here. Here, Battle of Buxar in 1764, they got the victory, and after that, the company got the Diwani right. What Diwani right means? Right to collect the revenue, right? And they were entitled to get revenue of Bengal, Bihar, and Orissa gradually, right? After that, what happens? They started interfering into the Indian affairs, right? You know, they started teaching the Indians citizens Indian affairs, right? After this, in government system, a huge corruptions took place. You know what happened? This corruption took place because of excessive revenue collection by operation of peasantry. They oppressed and suppressed the peasantry, the farmer, and laborer class, and due to which the company became bankrupt. Because the major reason behind all these events, that one more major reason, the more you know what the duality system, right? For instance, you can take the examples over here. You can see the company possesses the authority but not responsibility. You know what happened? company uh, Company got the position of the authority, but it didn't have the responsibility. But you know, and contrastly, that's Indian representatives had all the responsibility, but they had no authority, right? So it was the basic reason, major reason behind all these chaos like conditions and the bankrupt. All right, let's move on the next paragraph. Here you can see over here, British government plan. You know what happened later? When all these events is going to be happen on in India, so ultimate ruling body thought that they should introduce some basic laws and regulations by which they can monitor the company's overall activities and their works, right? So they brought some order into the business, right? The British government decided to regulate the company with a gradual increase in laws, right? So here the same thing is mentioned in this paragraph. All right, and let's move on the next slide. here here is Here it is, and the first heading, the now we are moving on the acts, right? Here the first act is going to be introduced in India. The name is Acts introduced by British government, Regulation Act 1773, right? You know what, as per this act, what development occurred on the ground? Let's see. This act permitted the company to retain its territorial positions in India, but sought to regulate the activities and functioning of the company. You know what, uh, the government of British government permitted the company to retain, right, to retain its territorial possessions, right? It means they can have their territorial possessions, but uh, but now the further government, the British government is going to regulate the activities and functioning of the company, right? They are going to monitor overall activities by the company, right? Let's move on the next line here. British government was given right to exercise control over Indian affairs for the first time. You know what, the first time in this history the British government was going to exercise control over the Indian affairs, right? They have the authority, right, over complete control on the Indian affairs, right? They had. And the post of governor of Bengal changed to the Governor General of Bengal. Further change happened over here, that is, they changed the post of Bengal governor into the Governor General of Bengal, right? So this is one more development occurred over here. And after that the administration in Bengal was to be carried out by the Governor General and four members of council. Here the further development you can see over here. The administration of Bengal was to be carried out by Governor General and a four-member council. You know what, a four-member council additionally added under the Governor General of Bengal, right? And let's move on the next paragraph. And I would like to inform you students, this paragraph is very important as per your examination point of view. And you can watch over here. Warren Hastings was made the first Governor General of Bengal. The governor of Bengal, Bombay and Madras were supposed to work under the Governor General of Bengal. Here it means the Warren Hastings had become the first Governor General of Bengal, right? And you know what, later then Bombay and Madras governor were supposed to work under him, under his Governor General post, right? So this question is very important. Many times, most of the time, this question has been asked in the different kind of competitive examinations. So you can write it down and you can save it, recalling later, so that you can recalling later. Right. Let's move on the next paragraph. The new step was to form the Supreme Court in Calcutta along with the appellate jurisdictions where all subjects could have been sought redressal. It comprised the one chief justice and three other judges. You know what happening here? The another latest step was taken by the British government, which was that here it is mentioned. The new step was to form the Supreme Court. A Supreme Court was introduced, right, in Calcutta, right? And what happened later, so according to this, the appellate jurisdiction, the additional jurisdictions, or the courts, all are added to this one supreme body, Supreme Court, you can understand here. And where all subjects could have been sought redressal. Actually it means, what it means, that all kind of complaints and their concerned solutions would be sought there, right? It comprised the one chief justice and three other judges. It has been made of one chief justice and three other judges, right? There was a one chief justice and three other judges. So here is it, right? Let's move on the next slide. Right here, further in 1781, you know what, later this act which was introduced in 1773, you can watch over here. This act further amended, right, just after near about 10 years. So in 1781 the act was amended again, right? You can understand. And what happened later here, then the governor general the council and the servants of the government were exempted from the jurisdiction. You know what happened later? That's the governor general and all the servants of government, they were exempted from their jurisdiction, from their obligations and duties. Whatever they have done, whatever they have done in the past, that would be exempted, right, as per this amendment laws, right? So here this act is going to be end the, right, it comes in end here. And let's after that, in 1784 a new act was introduced, which name is Pitt's India Act. As you can see over the screen, Pitt's India Act in 1784. Let's see what happens as per these acts. You know what, I'm just gonna read it out, right? It introduced the dual control system of the British government and the East India Company. What is going to happen here, that it means there is a dual control system was introduced first time and by British government and the East India Company, right? The company became a subordinate department. The company played a role as a subordinate department, right, of the state. And its territories in India were termed British possession. And all the territories which come under the company possessions, they further now would be termed as British possessions, right? So, however, it retained control over the commerce and day-to-day administration. Apart from this, the company had if one had some rights over here. Company retained some rights over here in the form of day-to-day administration and commerce and day-to-day administration, right? The company is still having, right? Now let's move on the next paragraph. Further, a board of control was formed to exercise control over the company's civil, military, and revenue affairs. It was made of the Chancellor of Exchequer, a Secretary of State, and four members of the Privy Council. You know what happens later? That's a board of control was formed by the British government. The main aim and function was to exercise control over the company's civil works and military works and revenue works, right? So they set a control board of control to monitor civil, military and revenue affairs, right? And it was made up of the Chancellor of Exchequer. The formulation of this board including one Chancellor of Exchequer and a Secretary of State and four members of the Privy Council, and they all are appointed by the Crown, ultimate ruling body, which is located in England, right? Right. So let's move on the next paragraph. Another move was to establish a court of directors, right? Here you can see over here an additional change has been made over here. That what was the change? That further they established a court of directors, right, which was responsible for the political matters. Actually, this court of director was responsible for the political matters, and it was consist of a secret committee of the three directors, right? Further, a secret committee was formed, including three directors in direct touch of British government. They were in direct touch with British government, right? The Council of Governor General, and later one more important change has been occurred over here. What is that? That the Council of Governor General was reduced. You know what, the Council of Governor General was reduced to the three members, including the Commander in Chief. You know what happened later? They formed four members committee. Now that the same committee is going to be reduced up to one member, right, including the Commander in Chief, right? So this additional change they made over here. Right, let's move forward. In 1786, Lord Cornwallis was entitled the power of both the Governor General and the Commander in Chief. So this is also one important question over here. You can write it down. Okay, you can recalling it later. Lord Cornwallis was entitled. He had possessed both power in the sense the Governor General, right, and the Commander in Chief, both designations he had, right? So it is also another important question. You can write it down for further preparation, and let's move forward. He has been allotted to power, right? Which power was he allotted? Override the council's decision if he owes the responsibility for the decision. You know what it means? Actually, a special privilege was given to the Lord Cornwallis. Which kind of privilege I'm talking about? The privilege in the sense he has been allotted to power. He right? He has been allotted to power. Which kind of power? In let's suppose in any special condition, he understand he can if he is going to urge the responsibility for the decision. Suppose he is taking the complete responsibility of any decision, so in that condition he can override the council's decision, right? He can denied, he can ignore the council's decision, but in case if he owes the complete responsibility for the decision, right, he will have to take the complete responsibility. So this is the proper meaning of this sentence. I hope you must have understood, right? Let's move on the Charter Act. This is the next one, Charter Act. This Charter Act, is was introduced in 1793, as you can see over the screen. And what happens as per this Charter Act? Let's see in this paragraph. As per this act, extended the overriding power given to Lord Cornwallis over his council to all further governor generals and governors of presidency. Actually, what kind of right he has been given? That it means he can override the power given to Lord Cornwallis over his council, right? Related to his council, he could have taken all the decisions, right, regarding to all future governor generals and governors of presidency, right? He could have taken all the future related decisions in subject to governor generals and governors of presidency, right? Right. So let's move again. Let's move forward. Next step was to mandate royal approval of appointment of governor general, governors, and the commander in chief. You can see over here that's what happens next. Next step was to mandate. Next step was to mandated. A royal approval was mandated, right? A royal, if you are going to rule, right? If you are going to appointment of governor general, governors, and the commander in chief, in that special case, it is very essential that you will have to seek the approval of the royal approval, you can say the approval of crown, right, the ultimate ruling body, which is located in England, right? So let's move forward. Senior officials of the company was debarred from leaving India without permission, right? And doing so was treated as resignation, right? What it means? In the suppose any kind of senior officials, if any senior officials is planning to leave the India, so he cannot leave, because if he's going to leave, then before leaving the India, he has to seek for the permission, right? And if he gets the permission, then only he can leave the India, otherwise he is not able to leave the India. It means what is this is the proper meaning of this paragraph. Doing so, if he does so, after that, then he was treated as resignation. He will be treated as resignation, right? So I hope you understood over here. Let's move on the next line. It was further mandated that the board of control and their staff were to be paid out of the Indian revenues. Actually, further movement, further development occurred over here. It was further mandated. It was compulsory. It was made compulsory that the board of control and their staff were to be paid, out of the Indian revenues. Yeah, that means out of Indian revenues, they should be paid, right? It continued till up till 1919, and this laws is continue up till 1919, right? So let's move on the next line over here. You can see the company was also asked to pay 5 lakh pounds annually to the British government. Apart from this, the company was also asked, right, to pay additional 5 lakh pounds. Pounds, a currency in England currency, you can see Britain currency, annually per year. Per year, the company was further asked to pay 5 lakh pounds annually to the British government. British government after paying its necessary expension. After paying all the necessary essential expenses expenditures, they were bound to pay a you know what, here 5 lakh pounds, right? 5 lakh pounds to the British government. This is the meaning of this sentence. So I hope you really enjoy this session. You really must have enjoyed this a little session, and I want your regular continuous support and love, right? So in the same way I will produce all the future all the further subject related videos, right, on time to time. And this is my promise to you. I will help you out. I will give my level best, right, in solving every kind of questions, problems related to your examination point of view, related to your examinations, especially in English, right? Especially in English net English, and apart from this UPPCS examination. So I really need your support. Please keep supporting me and give your thumbs up, give your precious likes and comments, and please subscribe my channel. Again, I will humble request to all of you, then please subscribe my channel. Okay, I hope you must have enjoyed this session, right? So meet again. Till then, thank you.